Let's say a country can no longer sustain itself or pay its debt. What should it do in this not-so-pleasant situation? Because nations are not companies, they cannot go bankrupt. Well, they technically can, but bankruptcy in a legal sense is different from the bankruptcy we think about. So instead of bankruptcy, countries default, which essentially means they don't pay back their creditors. And while there is only one way to honor your debt, there are lots of ways in which countries can default, and lots of different consequences. For example, let's take Greece, a country that has been in default for about half its modern existence. So let's say that tomorrow Greece announces that it will not pay a single more euro in debt, and instead it will create its own new currency, in which it may, or may not, decide to pay back the debt at an exchange rate that Greece itself will determine. This means that creditors, some of whom are Greek citizens, just lost what they lent, they lost a portion of their savings, and may even go bankrupt themselves. Because Greek banks own a significant share of Greek bonds, there might also be a banking crisis. And the European Union itself owns a huge chunk of Greek debt, so it would need other European countries to help cover the losses. The Greek government would also be kicked out of international finance for a period of time, which can be as little as 5 years, have no money to pay workers and citizens, create its own currency, which would be virtually worthless on the international market until Greek becomes stable, and it would either have to raise taxes or start printing lots of money to pay for things, but it will not be able to afford international services or equipment, making everything extremely difficult for at least a few years. After that, some normalcy might return and Greece could have access to international markets again, but it would still be significantly poorer than when it left. Also, there is the unlikely possibility of other countries going to war against the defaulting nation, but they usually try to negotiate a deal and get some of their money back before resorting to drastic measures. Now at this point, all Greek citizens who had any significant savings in government bonds would be broke, and the rest would be very poor internationally due to the devalued currency. Also, Greek labor would look very cheap to neighboring companies, so some of them would move there to take advantage of the situation and make some major cash. As for the rest of the European Union, it would face two major problems. The financial hit of the default, obviously, and the sheer idea that other countries might take the same steps as Greece. Especially if Greece recovers faster than the predictions say, that might be the push Italy and Spain need to follow suit. And that is how a country goes bankrupt, or defaults.